focus is his column this week, starting out with the final drives of the Detroit Lions, who we were just talking about, in Matt Stafford. Here's a couple interesting things about this. The Oakland Raiders were winning by 12 points with just under 8 minutes to go.
Yep.
They had a choice to kick an extra point or go for two. That would have put them up by 13 or 14. They decided to kick the extra point, put them up by 13, which, of course, if you went for two and missed it and you were up by 12, then a field goal could beat you.
Yep.
Well, no, 2 touchdowns.
No, you still needed two.
You still needed to go for two, is my point. And it came back to haunt them.
And teams don't do that. I don't understand that. I know all the coaches have this kind of chart that shows you when the score ends on this and their score ends on that, to go for two or to go for one. Sometimes that doesn't make sense. So when you needed those 2 points, the 1 point didn't. The 1 point was meaningless. It was an empty point.
Right.
And, what's the difference between losing 28-27 like they did, or losing 28-26?
Well, it turned out to be meaningful. It was a loss
or
for the
it turned
Raiders
out to be meaningful. Exactly. Right. So instead of, they either would have lost 28-27 or 28-26, or perhaps gone into overtime 28-28, worst case scenario. And they didn't do it. And I don't, there's so much rigidity of thought in pro football and in terms of when to go on fourth down, when to go for 2 points. And that's a perfect example of a team that, did the wrong thing.
Well, and in Captain Comeback's column, in Scott's column, I want to read verbatim from the first paragraph. And again, to your point, Kerry, he's the authority on comebacks. He studies them every week. He chronicles them. He has the stats to back it up. So think of this line. Has a wide receiver ever single-handedly willed his team to victory? Jerry Rice would come to mind, by the way. Sunday's game in Oakland is a worthy nominee. Calvin Johnson not only had 9 catches for 214 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it was the way he took over in the fourth quarter after Detroit fell behind by 2 touchdowns with just under 8 minutes to go that really stood out.
Yeah, and he's been a catalyst, as Scott points out. 4 13-plus point comebacks this year by the Lions, including probably the most memorable one against the Cowboys early in the season when they were down by, I forget now, 23, 24 points.
Yeah.
For the Lions, that's an NFL record, 4 2-touchdown comebacks in the space of one season. Nobody's ever done it, and Calvin Johnson seems like he's been on the receiving end of all those game-winning throws. And not only was it a comeback, I think it was a 98, 99-yard drive that the Lions pulled together in the final minutes of that game. It was really, and I'm sure Scott will be putting it together before the end of the year, but if you're going to put together a list of the greatest drives of the season, that's probably a nominee.
So when you look at the Lions, and we finish our Captain Comeback segment here on Cold Hard Football Facts on TPN, when you look at the Lions, you mentioned in our last segment, Kerry, that the Patriots, Packers, and Saints are all sort of the same team. Anybody on the offense can score. Their quarterbacks are head and shoulders above everybody else, but they just need to survive with their defense. Aren't the Lions right below them in that category?
Well, the Lions' defense has really declined. They still look good in a lot of kind of individual statistics and things, but they're giving up a lot of points all of a sudden. And I was a big Lions fan early on when their numbers supported, and I just think they're flawed in too many ways. And Matt Stafford is as great as those comebacks have been, as great as Calvin Johnson is. He's not. I mean, who do you want in a gunfight? Do you want Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, or Matt Stafford? I think that's a
he's building a reputation for himself, though.
For comebacks, but I still think, they're still not, they're not winning. I mean, the bottom line is they're not winning enough. And for much of the year, they had a defense that should have won more games. And I just think he's also been a little mistake prone. And he hasn't proven it yet either. I mean, at least, if he comes out and has a big comeback in the playoffs, takes that team to a Super Bowl, right now a flawed team, then maybe, that reputation changes. But right now it is what it is, as they say.